In the middle of the devastation of the Second World War, 26 nations vowed to defend life, liberty, independence and religious freedom, and to preserve human rights and justice in their own lands as well as in other lands. This quote comes from the Declaration of United Nations that brought the Allied powers together to defeat the Axis countries. By the end of the war, that number of signatories had nearly doubled as more nations committed to defeating fascism and creating a better world after the conflict was over. The international organization born of this declaration would adopt its name, pledging to ward off future evils and create a better world for all. As we celebrate the United Nations 75th anniversary, it is worth looking back at the founding principles of the UN and how its mission has expanded over the years. In June 1945, the United Nations Charter was signed by 51 nations. In its opening lines, the Charter calls on its member states to prevent the outbreak of war, protect human rights, respect international law, and promote increased quality of life. Although shadows of the Cold War hindered many of the UN's initial peacekeeping efforts, it succeeded in spurring decolonization and development, welcoming 108 new member states by 1990. These nations brought rich cultural experiences and different ways of thinking to the organization, reinforcing its commitment to better the entire global community rather than serve the interests of individual superpowers. As the new millennium loomed, the UN prepared to go beyond its origins as a peacekeeper and source of humanitarian relief and become the instigator of a worldwide renaissance.
To accomplish this monumental task, the United Nations proposed the Millennium Development Goals. These benchmarks in reducing poverty, improving health, advancing gender equality, and reinforcing global partnerships created a framework to help guide the actions of its member states towards a better world. 15 years later, the MDGs evolved into the Sustainable Development Goals to better meet the interconnected challenges facing the people, the planet, and the economy. Climate change and habitat destruction resulted in new importance being placed on environmental concerns, with the original MDG of environmental sustainability branching into 6 distinct goals. Other goals became more ambitious, with the prior goal of eliminating poverty expanding to also ensure a living wage and full gainful employment for all. Additionally, accords such as the Paris Agreement on Climate Change and the Global Compact for Migration brought the global community closer together by reinforcing their commitment to successfully completing the SDGs. However, the UN faces many challenges to its mission in the modern era. A rise in isolationism and authoritarianism throughout the world has strained the global community, causing many to question the relevance of the UN in the face of those who denounce it. COVID-19 has further complicated the UN's effort, closing national borders, forcing intergovernmental bodies and secretariat staff to conduct their business virtually, and causing the deaths of almost 1 million people worldwide. As the UN embarks on its next quarter century, it will have to meet even greater challenges in order to succeed in its mission.
Overcoming these challenges, from climate change to a pandemic, food insecurity to increasing inequalities, will require consistent action from groups and individuals that is based on strong moral principles. FOGS has developed a moral foundation in the Hexalog, a 6-point guide for assessing the behavior of institutions and individuals. By applying the Hexalog in their daily lives, as well as working to find new ways to make progress toward the SDGs in their communities, global citizens can bring about the change they wish to see in the world. To this end, FOGS and the Dais are looking to aid in the successful realization of the global renaissance envisioned by the UN. To ensure that result, we are beginning the UN75+25 Alliance, which seeks to unite the experience of those who have served as a part of the international governance community for the past 75 years with the innovative spirit of the generation that will lead the next 25 years of global development. By bringing the strengths of these two groups together, we hope to create ongoing partnerships that find new, effective solutions to global issues and further a grand narrative of hope for all. The United Nations was founded to oppose the evils of war, poverty, and tyranny, lighting a spark of hope in one of humanity's darkest hours. Thousands of people working as peacekeepers, humanitarian aid workers, and secretariat personnel have fought to turn that spark into a flame, with some even giving their lives in the service of the UN and the world. We are the inheritors of that flame, and it is up to each of us to fan it into a beacon that spreads its light to every corner of the globe.